Let's bring you some of the day's other news. And the lawyer for two British Iranians detained in Iran is saying that they're about to leave the country. Nazanin Zaghari-Ratcliffe and Anousheh Ashuri are reportedly at Tehran's airport. Zaghari-Ratcliffe had been detained since 2016. The aid worker was arrested in Tehran and sentenced to 5 years jail for plotting to overthrow the government. She's always denied the allegations. Sonia Gallego is joining us from London. We're getting a little bit more detail about the release, Sonia. What more are we learning?
Well, there are reports from Iranian state media of the presence of Nazanin Zaghari-Ratcliffe at the airport. But, of course, as Prime Minister Boris Johnson said, these negotiations are really up to the line right now. And even the family of Nazanin Zaghari-Ratcliffe, even though they've been very, very happy, overwhelmingly so at the news, there's also not a little bit of substantial of caution there, because this has happened before. There have been many ups and downs, as they said, in the ordeal since Nazanin Zaghari-Ratcliffe was arrested in 2016 and sentenced in prison. Also, the same situation with Anousheh Ashuri, who was arrested in 2017 when he went to Iran to visit his mother. But these details are still slow in coming. It is believed that these negotiations are really have been ramped up ever since the two were given their passports back by the Iranian state, and their presence at the airport means that clearly there are still some issues perhaps to resolve, but officials certainly on the British side are hopeful that this is something that can be resolved very much shortly, and that the two can come home to their families.
So, Sonia, what are the events that led up to this?
Well, it's an ordeal that's, for Nazanin, certainly has been going back to 2016 when she was arrested in Iran as she was trying to return home. She was with her daughter, who was not yet 2 years old, and returning back to her husband, Richard. She was arrested purportedly on accusations of spying and attempting to overthrow the government in Iran, but accusations, of course, which she has strenuously denied, as her family have as well. She has spent so far 4 years in prison at Evin, 1 year under house arrest. There were hopes that after she'd completed her sentence that she would be able to be returned home, but then there came another accusation where she was sentenced to further 1 year plus having another 1 year travel ban as well. And this has been linked to the UK's debt to Iran, a debt that goes back decades. It's a $520 million debt that's in relation to some 1,500 Chieftain tanks that the UK had promised Iran while it was still under the power of the Shah. Now, the money was taken, but the tanks were never delivered because of the British say the Iranian Revolution that took place. And this has been an issue which has been back and forth, to and fro, over the issue of this debt. Nevertheless, the British Foreign Secretary Liz Truss did recognise the issue of the debt, and that that the British government had an intention to resolve it, but this has been really intertwined with the issue of these prisoners who hopefully now are seeing the end of their ordeal.
Okay, Sonia, and just an update for our viewers that the Reuters news agency is citing the Iranian news agency, in fact, is saying that the United Kingdom has released that $530 million debt to Iran ahead of the release of the two British-Iranian prisoners. So that's the update on the story. Sonia, thank you so much for the time being for that report from London.